Hey y'all, welcome back to Beyond Graceland. I'm Emily, and we left off on our countdown to my favorite Elvis movies in what I think are my favorites. Of course, your list may look a little bit different, but that's all right because mine may change in a couple of months. Who knows? But as of right now, we have left off. We stopped at number 20, Charo, and so we're going to pick up with 19. And coming in at 19 for me is one of those movies that for some reason, if I don't feel good, maybe I have a cold or tummy ache or something like that. If I'm not feeling good, this is the Elvis movie that I always choose for some weird reason. I don't know if it's just like that little hug, that little bit of comfort that you get, and that is Frankie and Johnny. Can you believe it? Came out in 1966. This has some riverboat themes. Maybe that's what I like about it. I love that old riverboat history type of Mark Twain feel, Mississippi, all of that. It's also got as his co-star Donna Douglas. Yes, Ellie Mae Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies. I don't know. I think that they worked well together in that movie. It was funny. It was dramatic, and the overall storyline. I won't give too much away if you haven't seen that one, but it's got a lot going on. And then there's some other characters that come along in that and kind of take direction on where that movie ends up. But it's super entertaining. Some gypsy fortune telling, gambling, obviously on the riverboat. Can't have one of those these days without having a casino on it. So I don't know. It's just has a good ending, a little bit of a twist at the end, and yeah, that's just kind of my comfort go to Elvis movie. Frankie and Johnny. Next up, 18, Fun in Acapulco. Yeah, 1963, that one, which is always funny for me because I feel like that one was like a later Elvis movie, but it really wasn't. Not filmed on location. This movie's got some interesting things that we can talk about, to be honest with you. So, not filmed in Mexico, and there is a big reason why. So supposedly, allegedly, there is this Mexican guru guy, and I think it was 1957, and he wanted Elvis to sing at his daughter's 15th birthday party, which is a big deal, turning 15. And so he obviously did not. And for whatever reasons, this guy sends a letter to his LA offices, probably never even reaches Elvis, probably never even reaches the Colonel, to be honest with you. And so this guy becomes very angry at Elvis and decides, that there's not going to be any more Elvis movies, or there was, but because of the anger that he had towards Elvis, he starts spewing all of this really false um, information that Elvis hates Mexican people and just some other hateful type things. And so it causes a little bit of tension between some of the citizens. And so when his movies do come out, and I think it was, I know King Creole, so it was still early on because this happened in 1957. But then riots would break out at the movie theaters during their releases and all this. And so they made it to where he wasn't allowed to come to Mexico. And obviously, for absolutely no good reason at all, except for a bunch of lies. But then later on, I think it did come out that this guy just made it all up. We're kind of used to hearing political things made up these days. But, anyways, won't go into that. We'll keep it all Elvis here. But I just thought that was such an interesting story. And so nothing was filmed in Mexico for those reasons. Although we know that there was other reasons, like the Colonel Tom Parker not allowing Elvis to travel outside of the United States in any sort of business related affairs. But yes, Fun in Acapulco, to the movie itself, We got Bossa Nova Baby out of it. That's about it. And it's an okay storyline. Elvis looks good in it. But that was all I really got out of that movie. It's not something that I'm going to turn my nose up at, but just nothing that's really on my radar that makes me just really like the movie. So, moving right along, we've got number 17, Kissin' Cousins. Yes, I just watched this one actually, just the other day actually. I'm always putting on an Elvis movie when I maybe edit videos or if I'm doing some writing. I always got that in the background. Just something comforting about that. Maybe you can relate to it. But also, let me know who's here. If you're liking these videos, if you want to subscribe to the channel, let me know some things that you might like to talk about. I've got a lot of stories. If you are interested in things like my Thanksgiving dinner with Jerry Schilling, let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to hear that story. It's a pretty cool one. Anyways, number 17, Kissin' Cousins, 1964. What is there not to like about this movie? Elvis is playing double screen. So he's playing a role as Josh, and he's playing another role as Jody, his long lost cousin, wearing a blonde wig. So how cool is that? I mean, we get to see Elvis in his dyed jet black hair and also as a blonde. The story is actually kind of funny. Elvis, his character Josh, is in the military and they want to go and seize some land in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. And that's not going to go over quite well because a lot of times, especially back in the olden days, there was a lot of moonshining up in those mountains and still is today, actually. Still actually. And so we don't want any sort of military or authority figures trespassing on their land while they're doing some highly illegal activities. And so it gets really funny in that aspect on going up there and trying to make friends with the hillbillies. And so it's a lot of laughs. I really like it. I think that Elvis actually acts better as the blonde, as the kind of dumbed down hillbilly. It's super funny. I really like that one. And I remember the first time that I ever watched that was a teenager. And it was one that I hadn't seen. They didn't never played that one on TV during Elvis Week or anything like that. And so when they reissued all those movies and put them on VHS, that was the one I was most excited about seeing because I had seen the pictures of the blonde wig, but I had just never seen the movie, and so super excited about that. I still have all of my VHS tapes, and yeah, I will actually watch them. So number 16, GI Blues, 1960. Now, some of y'all may be thinking, why is this one not actually like maybe in your top 5? Because I feel like you see all these lists and a lot of them have them, his first 4 to 5 to 6 movies back to back. Like that's the order that they go in. But I mean, GI Blues, I feel like, obviously I try to put myself in the shoes of a first time viewer, right? So if it was 1960, Elvis comes back from the army. This is the first time we're seeing him, in the current, and so I can see the appeal in that. However, there's way too many songs in it, right? So for some reason, as soon as he comes back, they're just throwing all these songs in the movies. And before that, the other 4, of course, had a lot of songs in them, but they just felt more appropriate. Just like in Jailhouse Rock, he's a performer. King Creole, not a performer, but could perform. Let Me Tender, not a performer, but entertained folks. And then Loving You, wanting to become a performer. And so those are really different settings than I'm an army person, but I'm going to, instead of saying certain things, I'm just going to sing them. And I feel like it's really what set off the whole vibe of the Presley movie script or taking scripts and somebody saying, hey, let's modify it to a Elvis movie. And I feel like this is kind of the one that may have kicked all that off. And, it's just, I feel like the two after that, which was Flaming Star and then Wild in the Country, great movies, but they didn't do as well as far as, when you look back and you read the articles about not doing as well, even though they were, the reviews were great, the critical remarks weren't that bad as far as his acting, as far as the movie itself. However, there wasn't a real big soundtrack to go with them. And so that's like a whole package deal in these Elvis movies. And so when it didn't do as well, they go back and look at GI Blues and they say, well, this is the formula that does the best one yet, so we're going to stick to that and we're going to milk it as long as we can. So that's why I have my issues with GI Blues, but obviously it's still, it's at number 16. So above that, we've got number 15, It Happened at the World's Fair, 1963. And yeah, this is a good one. You've even got little Kurt Russell, who in 1979, only 2 years after Elvis died, went on to play Elvis in one of the first, if not the first, movie about Elvis. That's really kind of cool. With the story, it's cute, it's fun. It was filmed on location in Seattle, so all of that's great. It's just a well-rounded Elvis movie, enjoyable, it's funny, all the things that you like. With Kurt Russell being in there, he also gets to kick Elvis in the shin. So spoiler alert on that, but it's really quite enjoyable. That's why it is halfway up the list. So next up, number 14, Tickle Me, 1965. This one has a special place in my heart. It was later on in my fanhood that I saw this one, and so I feel like when that happens, a lot of those just have sentimental values because I saw them later on. Already a huge Elvis fan, not just in the just learning about him phase. And I really like the storyline. It goes into some ghosty type scenes in this ghost town, and he's a rodeo guy. There's actually not that much singing in this one. And it was one of the first times that they sort of regurgitated some of the old songs, reused those to make up a soundtrack. But, maybe an odd choice for being this high up. But like I said, it's a guilty pleasure one. It's funny though, because this is actually one of the lowest budget, if not the lowest budget films. And the reason for that is because it was with Allied Artist Pictures, and they were in the middle of going bankrupt. And so I guess to help them out, I don't know if it was the Colonel that set them up on that, but to help bail them out, they did this movie. I believe it was called something else also, and then they changed it to Tickle Me. Not real sure why Tickle Me got the name, but saved them from bankruptcy, the production company, and they are still running today thanks to this little lowest budget Elvis movie, Tickle Me. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's one of my guilty pleasures. Number 13, Kid Galahad. Okay, so Elvis is a boxer. This one's coming out in 1962. Elvis is a boxer. It's kind of different, right? That's a nice change from a singing traveling person, entertainer, or race car driver. Some of the same old things that he's always doing. I really like the story. It was a remake of a 1937 movie that actually had some fairly big names. Was it Betty Davis, maybe, in that one? I don't know. I never saw the original one. But of course, it's probably a lot different than the Elvis movie because, of course, we have to add a whole bunch of songs in there. It's a little bit odd. I feel like this could have been a little bit better role. I wish maybe Elvis could have beefed up a little bit for this one because, he's supposed to be kind of that one punch knockout guy in this. And, Elvis is a very scrawny, framed person. So it was a little bit weird in that aspect, but I mean, it's a good time movie. What's not to like about it? And script's not that bad. It's pretty enjoyable. That's why that one's coming in at 13. Next up, number 12, Girls, Girls, Girls. 1962. What do we get? We got Return to Cinder from this movie. There's also some speculations of some maybe a little embarrassing scenes that happened. If you don't know what I mean, maybe this picture will help. If you know, you know. If not, you can Google it. This one was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Musical. How cool is that? So, I mean, yeah, this is a really good one. This is one that came out pretty soon after he and Anita Wood broke up. So by now, Priscilla's in the picture. This is one that gets played on TV a lot. It's super entertaining. It's super loved. And so what is not to love about Girls, Girls, Girls? Now, the last one for part 2 here, it's our middle section of my favorite Elvis movies, is Love Me Tender. I know, y'all probably thought this was going to be in part 3. But it's not. Number 11, Love Me Tender, 1956, the movie that started the Elvis movies. Elvis's first major motion picture was originally called The Reno Brothers, and it should have been kept that name because of changing it to Love Me Tender and adding that song in there. We now have sealed the deal to have music and singing in all of Elvis's movies. However, since that was new for them, the Elvis formula, we got some okay songs. We got some appropriate songs. We got some appropriate placement for the songs. So, not mad at that. I guess everybody probably expected Elvis to sing in his movies anyways. So, there's that. But did they take it too far? Absolutely. It's at number 11 probably because of the overacting in it. And that's probably, something that you see in everybody's first movie. I mean, if you go back and maybe, who became a big actor? Leonardo DiCaprio. Go back and watch his very first movie, probably overacted in it or didn't act as well as he does now. So that's to be expected. That's okay. But it's just why it's not at the top of my list. And it may be some people's number 1. And I completely understand why. Still a great movie. I will watch it every time it's on. And I actually really like the black and white ones. I think maybe he should have made more black and white ones. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for checking out part 2 of my favorite Elvis movies and our countdown to what is number 1. What do you think it is? Go ahead and leave me a comment on what you think my number 1 is before I put out that video. Yeah, I'm just really curious to see what y'all think it is. And if you are enjoying the content here, go ahead, hit the subscribe. Like I said, I've got some stories for you. I got a lot of cool content coming out, but I don't want to just put out what I want to put out. I want to hear about what you want to see. And I want to make this as entertaining as possible and informative as possible. And if you want to start having a big old long discussion about Elvis in a specific topic, leave that in the comments below as well. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for checking this out. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up and I will see you all in part 3.